morning from my joggo in Ubud. This edition of Behind Bali Abundance is about my very first shipment arriving in Australia. In the last edition I covered how I sent items home by post, by air, by sea. I also shipped some items home with a cargo agent. So to try and work out in the future which was going to be the more cost-effective way to get items home. So once I got back to Australia, slowly my things started to arrive, and then came the task of working out what I was going to do. So once I had all of my items, I decided the first thing I'd do was have an open house. So I displayed all the items throughout my house, tried to display them as best as I could, priced everything, and I had an open house inviting friends and family mainly to come, and I had champagne. It was sort of like the grand opening of Bali Abundance. So that went okay. I sold a little bit, but you can't keep just selling to your friends. So once I'd done that, I kind of was, well, okay, what now? So I decided to try a few markets. I worked full time, so that was something I could do on the weekend. So I did 2 markets, and the first one was in the city, and we'd set it all up, and maybe had only been there half an hour, and a huge storm came through where Steve and Kale were literally having to hold down the marquee while I was throwing stuff in. A lot of the other marquees had taken off. We just had to pack up and get out of there, and we were all absolutely drenched right through, and my poor younger son ended up getting really quite sick from that and ended up with pneumonia. So that was sort of not a great experience for my first market. I tried another one, and it was the opposite, where it was so hot. It was about 40 degrees. I sold a little bit, but for the effort you couldn't book it, so you had to be there at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then it was kind of potluck whether there was enough stalls and you got a stall. So and I found things got broken putting them in and out of the car, so I decided markets really weren't for me. So then it was back to the drawing board, because I worked in a legal office and I couldn't afford to give up that job. That money supported our family. So the next thing I thought of was, okay, I need to find something to sell this out of hours. So I'd seen on eBay, it was actually a lawyer who'd gotten into vintage clothes, and they were doing a documentary on her, and she was selling them on eBay and doing really well. So I thought, okay, that's what I'm going to do. So I opened an eBay store, and you really need feedback. So at first, rather than put all my stock on, I photographed a few of my clothes, sold secondhand clothes, just to learn how to use eBay. And then I started to photograph my stock and slowly listed that, and it started to work. So I finally had a way to sell where I could keep my daytime job. But as that got busier, I was working in the day, then coming home at night, and our dining room became a packaging room, and I'd be packaging parcels at night and then going to the post office on my way to work in the morning to send them off. So this, I was really happy that, finally I'd found a way to sell them, but now I was working double time, but I was still so focused and passionate that I wanted this to work, and I wanted to eventually leave my job. So I put in the hours and just stayed focused. Every cent I got, every cent that I made, I didn't spend any of it. I just kept saving that. That was my Bali money to go back to Bali. So eventually I had enough and headed back to Bali on another trip. So stay tuned to the next episode.